Hi, this is Karen Fisher. For my multicultural class, I wanted to introduce myself and discuss a few things about my experience in multicultural counseling, strengths I think I bring to that, weaknesses that maybe I've identified, and some plans maybe around attitudes or knowledge that might assist me in that. Probably let's start with strengths. When I think about multicultural counseling strengths, probably the first thing that comes to mind is just love of people. So I think, understanding a person is really how you best love them. So that takes a lot of listening. And time. So, love for a person, I think, is a strength that I have in multicultural counseling. Um, Along with that, I think goes the humility or let's say, learner mentality to say, I'm just very interested in you as an individual. And so, I don't have a lot of preconceived notions about who you are or what you're bringing to the table, especially in a counseling setting. So that humility of a learner, I think, is an asset or a strength I have. And because I'm a learner and I love education, I think that that individuality of that makes that a strength for me in getting to know people's multicultural experiences. I do have some, I guess I would call it experience, maybe short of expertise in the Christian culture in particular. And I think that that's a strength I bring to a lot of the counseling that I happen to do in the setting that I'm in. So being more competent in Christian culture is probably a multicultural strength that I might bring. I also have some experience in Christian mission work. And so, again, like learning about culture has been something important to me in the past. Um, some weaknesses, I tend to focus on these weaknesses a little more. So, for example, I don't know that I have a decent breadth of cultural experience. The population I serve now, very homogeneous to, um, let's say, white privileged culture and Christian basis, a lot of them. So I think I'm a little unaware of my ignorance of others when it comes to that. I just don't have the time and experience invested yet to really say that. I do have some from hospital settings that's a little more broad. Um, Also, worldview tends to be a perceived weakness for me, or it would put me at a disadvantage sometimes, because I think my personal beliefs are hard to bracket. I don't see them as my necessarily my personal beliefs sometimes. I see them as what God would have me do. So when I'm encountering other people for whom that's not true, I do have to kind of work hard to bracket some of that, because probably my worldview or what I would perceive as the conceptualization of the primary problem for people is probably grounded in like original sin. Like the world is broken and we live in a broken world and broken things happen and broken people exist. And so sometimes that's a challenge for me, a weakness that I have to be aware of. And then I'd say probably the attitude or knowledge goals I would have out of the course, or just really in my professional life in regard to multiculturalism, is really that much better critical self-reflection on bias. Like, how is it that I'm going to notice these things and self-reflect or reflect to others? I don't have a lot of outlets for supervision or consultation that really, let's say, lend themselves to that. So the self-reflection critically around multiculturalism kind of gets shoehorned in wherever. It doesn't seem to have like a real process. And so I'm a little concerned that I'm not really seeing the biases that I have, which is concerning. I think um, also the term or the struggle with the word identity um, is something I struggle with and I need to understand a little bit more. So there's like, there's the multicultural sensitivities or humilities or competencies, if you want to say that. But then there's also this idea of what does that actually say about a person and their identity? I tend to have had an attitude of everybody is a culture of one. I think sometimes that's too simplistic, but I don't really want to get rid of it. And the reason is I also, like, thirdly, struggle to understand my role, especially now, like as a counselor educator in social justice and advocacy. So I have to somehow I'm going to have to learn or understand differently identity in a multicultural setting and how that influences my role in terms of advocacy or social justice for someone. And I'm often struggling with that because I do very much value autonomy from like a theoretical counseling lens. So I think that's a big knowledge shift or attitudinal shift that I have to look at. So overall, I think I just have a lot to learn. But I think I'm open to all of that. So that's what I would add at this point about my orientation towards multicultural counseling.